Welcome back to Apatros Review. In this episode, Coronaween Part 1. And the film being reviewed in this episode is Temptation, directed by Catherine Taylor in the year 2009. Hi there, welcome back to Apatros Review. I'm your host, Mila Sipka, and join me as I take you on a ride through the wild world of science fiction action horror, all from my personal DVD collection. Now, with Halloween of 2020 being a somewhat unique experience, given that we're in the midst of a coronavirus pandemic, bloody hell, those freaking Chinese. I'm talking about communist Chinese. Those CCP viruses have been wreaking havoc. And Victoria has just recently ended its lockdown, practically. Now, I know you guys are going to be doing Halloween a bit differently this year with the Ziploc bags for the snacks and the treats and the social distancing, the hand sanitizer and whatever, and the masks. And I figured I'd do a little something special for you guys. This is actually the first of a 4-part episode special called Coronaween, or Corona Halloween, where I review 4 horror films, and I'm going to be uploading these 2 at a time on Friday the 30th and Halloween itself. So just keep watching and enjoy. Now in this episode we look at the film Temptation, which was a 2009 lesbian vampire film. Yeah, lesbian vampires. I'll review quite a few of these lesbian vampire films throughout the series. And this particular one was a British film. It was made by mostly a female crew. Now, the disc was originally released on the video store rental shelves in the Region 4, and that's the Australian market, by Peacock Films, which was a rental label. They're practically gone now. And then ported over to Flashback Entertainment's catalogue a couple of years later. Now, Temptation is a serious attempt to bring back the lesbian vampire film subgenre of the 1970s to a post-millennial audience, and for fans of the old stuff who have run their bootleg copies of Vampires Lesbos to the ground, which can be remedied by simply buying the DVD or Blu-ray releases that came out in the late 2000s. At the same time, a couple of other efforts have appeared. The comedy Lesbian Vampire Killers, which ran the concept for British lad culture's clutches, and gave a sexist, crude humour to the mix, and the found footage flick Vampire Diary, not to be confused with the TV show of a similar name, which was more serious and I reckon really messed with viewers' heads, despite being a little amateurish in its technical skills. What is unique about Temptation is that it was made by a mostly female crew and female director in Catherine Taylor, which would mean that we get to see what female filmmakers actually think of the subgenre. Well, the answer is, despite the promise and some style, the film is more of a chaste retread of LVK than a serious effort, although there is no chauvinistic humour to be found here. The film revolves around Isabel, a young Londoner who gets blind drunk after spotting her fiancé kissing another woman and ignores his calls. Seriously tipsy, she stumbles out of the bar and is picked up by a taxi driver who turns out to be a convicted rapist. The bastard makes his move on her in an alley, but before he can violate her, he is killed by Aurelie, a 200-year-old vampire who believes that Isabel is a reincarnation of her lost love Margot. Siring Isabel, Aurelie disappears back to her own nightclub where the all-female clan lesbian vampires like to hang out, watching a burlesque act called Chocolate Chick Cookies, and occasionally head out to order a human Happy Meal without the fries, although their attempts to dispose of their victims' bodies is getting more risky each time. Faced with her impending life of being a member of the undead, Isabel tries to adjust while trying to find a way to reverse the condition and to keep it a secret from her sister and mother. But she finds Aurelie's pet Frol, a former French soldier who made the mistake of killing Margot 2 centuries before, and who is completely at Aurelie's mercy. He basically informs her that the only way to avoid being a vampire is to embrace the sun in the morning and burn to ash. Meanwhile, Aurelie is looking for her and decides to force Isabel's choice into joining her in the crew by killing her family. While the story is okay, it's seriously chaste when it comes to the one thing that the fans of the subgenre really wanted. I'll let you guess what that is. There's very, very little sexuality on offer here, and the actual bloodletting is a little on the weak side. Although there are some nasty touches like the rape scene where Isabel is violated by a taxi driver rapist. Acting and direction is reasonable without being stand out, and the visual effects, when they do appear, like the vampire dusting Aurelie gets in the sunlight at the end, is far too clean CGI effect. I give Temptation C, a 4 out of 10. Strictly average stuff to be sure. Now, for the gore, there is some blood, but this isn't exactly a gory film. Nor is it a skin fest, unlike the classic lesbian vampire films in the 1970s. You do see a brief glimpse of boobs, but it's very brief, and I'm not including the mannequin boobs seen in the opening credits. Now for the DVD. This is another Peacock Films rental-only titles. This In this case, there's a rather unusual aspect ratio that I don't see that often, which is a 2.0 to 1. It's basically 2 to 1, which is anamorphic. The soundtrack is also a surprise. In addition to the standard English 5.1, we get what's perhaps Peacock Films' only title with DTS track, English 5.1, with 754 kilobyte range, so it's basically half bit rate for DTS. There were no subtitles, and the only supplement, aside from the previews that play when you select the play film option, are some cast and crew interviews which run to nearly half an hour. The film was acquired by Flashback Entertainment a couple years after the Peacock disc came out, but without the supplemental stuff. And I don't remember what soundtrack they had either. So if you want to find it, I mean, the Flashback disc is probably the most easiest one to get. It's been one of those 5 film multi-packs that came at the end of Flashback's era. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Remember, there's 3 more reviews left to go on this Coronaween. This is the first. So you guys just sit back and enjoy. Now, now, by the way, I don't do requests, but if you want to know if I have a particular film in my collection, just hit me up in the comments and I'll answer. I hope you guys are staying safe, enjoy Halloween, and that's it for this review. But don't forget to see parts 2, 3, and 4. Just check the episode primer before each one. See ya.